Good morning. We should be live in real time, coming at you from foggy Florida. Unfortunately, today is not a pretty day outside, but I'm I got a strong coffee from the local coffee shop, and I think I'm gonna be doing good. Be able to get my buzz on here in the morning. Good morning, Paul and Kyle. Good to have you guys. Jim, welcome in from South Carolina. Jim, I'm happy to address your question you dropped in the Facebook group last night. That one is a perfect example of what I was hoping to do. And welcome to the second episode of Inside Link. So this is my, I guess you would call it maybe a podcast-esque show. I don't know. And essentially what we're going to do today is just go through a live stream. If you have any questions about, blocks or WordPress or anything you want to see, definitely let me know. What we're going to do in the first portion of this stream is just go over some kind of so some of the latest news and sort of things that are going on in the world of, Permaslug and me. Also going to go over Kyle's results from his should you include the home button or not. I thought that was really interesting and something that I've thought about before too, but never taken the time to actually explore like he did. So we're going to go over that. Greetings from Berlin. Awesome. Yeah, I know it's morning time for me, but afternoon for many of you guys over in Europe. Elijah, good morning. Max, good to see you guys. How's everybody doing? I see obviously all you guys in chat, but YouTube's not telling me that anything is healthy in the stream, so hopefully everything's good. We should be good though, I believe. So cold Canada, yeah, I imagine so. I'm pretty bummed at the weather over here, and it's 71 Fahrenheit. So I don't know what that is, like 28 or 30 Celsius, probably something like that. Cool, thank you, Kyle. Well, yeah, so we're just going to hang out a little bit. And the first thing we're going to do, like I said, is go over some kind of news and updates. And actually, since Elijah's here, let me go ahead and just switch 29. It was 70. Oh, yeah. There you go. Oh, you mean a temperature swing like that? That's insane. Talk about getting sick, dude. That sounds awful. It's crazy. It's not even March yet. There's already like Atlanta spring breakers down here in where I am in Florida. So the season is kicking off for sure. Yeah, I'm feeling it too. You can probably hear it in my voice, Elijah. Yeah, so I was gonna say, because Elijah's here, -24. Oh my God. No, thank you. You're in like northern Quebec, is that right? I forget. I was in a call with Kyle one time with you, and you said where you were, but I forget. Good morning, Taylor. Good to have you, dude. The YouTube notifications must be going out because there's more people popping in. So there we go. That's usually what I'm... Oh, north of Toronto. Okay, gotcha. Taylor is probably in the frigid cold because he's in London, I have to imagine. But yeah, so we're just going to have some fun today. We're going to keep these Friday streams nice and easy. And like Kyle said, please drop a like. That would be amazing. So really what I want to do in these segments is just cover some news and things that are going on, whether it be from my own side or things that are cool and happening in the WordPress space. So if you come across things that you feel like are worth sharing or you want me to cover, feel free to send that to me. Can just be to me on Facebook. It can be in my email, whatever you feel like. And I'll be happy to try and include that sort of stuff. Not saying, of course, I'm going to cover everything, but I want to try to make these streams engaging and have some segments to them. Some news in the early part, then we're going to cover something cool in the middle. And then what I'm going to do next week is have Taylor Drayson on, and what we're going to do is cover custom blocks. I haven't told him that, but I think he's going to be stoked to do that. So we're going to talk about custom block development next week. So make sure that you are on board for that. And then, of course, at the end of last week's stream, we came up with the idea, actually it was Taylor's idea, to have the person that's on the stream sort of nominate the next person to come on. And so that's going to be a really fun segment too. So I'm pretty stoked about this. So the first thing I want to do, since Elijah is here in the chat, is let me pull up this tab real quick. I'm just going to pop this up on our screen. So here we go. Okay, can still see me in the screen. I think we're good to go. So last week I announced the Pi Calendar drop. So this is a plugin that Elijah and myself were working on, and we are super excited about this. It's just an extremely simple, easy to use calendar, and the feedback on it was just amazing. We had 50 beta spots, and we blew that away in like the first 2 hours. So we did open that up to more people, and the feedback has been really great so far. And the thing that I'm excited to share with you about is, of course, this plugin is going to have a free version and a pro version. The free version is going to be really capable, and we just submitted that to the WordPress plugin repository, which I'm so stoked about. Obviously, we can get turned down. There's things we're going to have to probably address and fix before it's officially launched, and they said it can take as much as 10 business days. So it probably won't be for a little while, but we're super stoked about that, and I'm really thrilled. I think it's going to be something that is really universal in terms of usage on, client sites or your own projects or whatever. So if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Elijah made a very cool, wait, I didn't put it on the site. I'm a noob. Sorry. I'll put it on the site. Elijah made a sweet getting started video. You can also just search for it on YouTube. You can go Pi Calendar. I wonder if that pops up if I just Google Pi Calendar. Bummer. Pi Calendar shows actual Pi calendars. Pi Calendar WordPress. Yeah, so here's the video. I'm not going to play this, but this is
what's up, everybody.
Oh, there we go. So yeah, Pi Calendar is what it's called, and that's a great idea, Kyle. I'll just drop it in real quick. So the way that this works is it's supposed to be extremely simple and is really flexible. So there's no real restrictions on this. It doesn't create a new post type. You can add anything you want to the calendar. So what I'll do real quick is on this demo site, I'll just go add this plugin. And let's see, I have Pi Calendar, so many of them, beta1.zip. All the different test versions that we were playing with. And hopefully this is a clean version. I believe it is. It should be fine. Eliza's shaking in his boots over there, I can imagine. So there's no settings. All you really need to do is just go to the posts and pages that you want to turn on. So I think I have some posts on this page. I do not actually. Let me go add in FakerPress because I actually wanted to do this anyway to get some images on here for a later portion of the stream. So we're just gonna fake some posts and get some demo content on the site real quick. This is nice and easy. I'm sure you've seen me do this in other videos. We'll just go with 6 posts. That'll be enough. And then what I want to make sure I do is use Lorem Pixum and 100% weight to get those featured images attached to them. Then we'll wait just a second. I only did 6. Go quicker, please. There we go. Okay. So when you go to the post in the back end now, what you're going to notice, because we have Pi Calendar installed, is you have this new drop down in your sidebar here for calendar. So what I can do is just say show on calendar, and you have the option to choose an all-day event, which means, of course, that the time you set doesn't really matter because it's going to be all day. But in our case, let's just go ahead and set a start date of like tomorrow, and then the time just defaults to now. So you could do 10:30 a.m. if you wanted. And then you can also set an end date, so it can go to like the 28th. And then all I need to do is just update this. Let's go set one more event. We'll just do one of these other posts. Go to the calendar. We're going to turn that on. And this one we'll just do an all-day event. We'll just do, let's say like March 1st, something like that. And then just update this. Yeah, Max, that's definitely a priority for sure. We've actually already had that asked a couple of times, so I appreciate you bringing that up. Localization for sure. Updating. Random guy, I see your question. I'll get back to you in just a little bit. So we'll go back to our homepage. We can actually add the shortcode anywhere we want. It doesn't have to be on your homepage because it's just a simple shortcode. You can add the calendar anywhere you want. So we'll go ahead and pop in a generate blocks container. And inside of that, stick in a shortcode. And all we need to do is just type in PiCal for our shortcode. We can simply update this. And then whenever this page updates, this is a local site. It should be faster than this. It's frustrating. I don't want to wait, especially not on stream. But of course, while streaming, this is when it's going to do it. Okay. And, oh, let's see. I have an overlay header here in Generate Press. 1 second. Overlay. And then let me just delete these so I go back to the default. There we go. So there's your calendar. We have fixed this scroll bar and this auto height issue in the next release. We haven't pushed that yet, so we had the scroll bar reported quite a few times. That'll be fixed nice and easy. But here you can see there's the 2 events that we added. So this one spans multiple days, and if I click it, we get this nice little popover. And then of course you have your start date and your end date. Then there's a nice link. So that's really nice and handy. And then for the all day events, really where that makes the most sense is for, let's see, like these time grids, because you have the all day section up at the top of the calendar, and that's where the all day is going to work. Pop over Pi calendar. Indeed. So anyway, there's a quick rundown of Pi calendar. Jim, for sure, populate the start. And, oh, you also shared with us some feedback, I think twice actually. So we really appreciate that, Jim. Thank you. Yeah, that's definitely something that I, really anticipated from the outset. That's definitely going to be a pro feature, so it's going to come a little bit later. But I think that having the ability to set your source date as like your something like an ACF date picker field would be really, really awesome and something we're definitely considering. Or being able to include the start and end dates in the page content. Yes. Okay. So Elijah has worked up a solution for that. So we haven't been able to fully test that just yet. In fact, it's on me to test it. But basically we right now have a little short code. So you'll be able to take that short code and you can paste it in to display your start and end date in the body. So that will be really nice. Richard, good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. Okay. So any other questions on Pi calendar? We're gonna push another update, I think, whenever we get approval in the plugin repo. So then from there, you can take the latest changes, like I mentioned, with the shortcode changes and some of these CSS tweaks and stuff like this, and you can pull them straight out of the WordPress plugin repository. Taylor says, can you change the pop-up content? Basically, right now, this is relatively static, but in the pro version, that's absolutely something I want to do. We haven't explored it yet, so of course, don't hold me to it. But what I want to be able to do is configure what appears in this, and then just give you more control for some of the styling. So that may take us a little while to do. But that's definitely changing the popover styling is absolutely something I want to do. Max, and there we should be able to help with the PO file translation. Yes, absolutely. The translations are going to be far easier when it's in the repo for sure. So I'm stoked that you have tested it and are looking forward to that. Kyle says, you did mention it works on all posts, including custom post types and pages. Yes, absolutely. So of course I just showed the posts, but if I go to my homepage, then I can see the calendar is here. So I could turn on my homepage on the calendar like so. Nice and easy. View page. And there is the home page. So this works on any custom post type. The only thing you need to keep in mind, and I'll quickly show this because some people have had some confusion here. So let me add CPT UI, and I'll create a custom post type real quick and just show you, because it's worth showing this, especially now while we got some viewers on the stream. So if you add a post type, and let's just say this is called locations, we'll add this post type. And then the most important thing you need to make sure is that when you edit this post type, our locations one we just created, you want to scroll all the way down and make sure that you have custom fields and the editor turned on. The editor is on by default, but we want to make sure we have custom fields on too. So you save that post type. We can go to locations and add new. And then we'll just go Main Street or something. And then there we go. So there's the calendar here in this custom post type. So I can set this to next month and make it span a couple of days. March 15th, something like that. So publish. And then refresh. And when we go over here to March, there it is. There's our Main Street one. So it works really, really easily in custom post types like that. You just got to make sure you have custom fields in the editor enabled. Let's see. Will it have event categories? I'm not sure about categories yet, but we for sure are going to implement color coding events, because we should be able to give you the ability to set a color on an event. Probably for now, at least to start off with, it's going to be manual. So you'll be able to change like the dot color and also like this background color if it spans multiple days. So at the very least, you could set colors depending on whatever makes sense for you. If it's a category or a post type or something like that, you can at least color code them. But I'm sure, over time we'll be able to probably improve on that. So color coding at the very least. And then Taylor says, how do multiple post types work? Can color them and select to only show a certain post type? Yeah, so you can use the shortcode right out of, the gate, because you can go with the shortcode, you can use the type, or is it type? Yeah, the type parameter, and then you could just say like locations. I think that was my slug. So if I go locations and update it, then it's only going to show our locations post type, as you can see. So right now, it's just a single post type. So there we go. Richard says, I've recently started dabbling with Metabox. Yeah, Metabox is cool. I mean, I haven't spent a whole lot of time with Metabox as compared to ACF, but I did do, probably like 6 months ago, I did do like a beginner's guide to Metabox here on the YouTube channel. It was like 45 minutes. I think that most people just use ACF, and like the tutorial content that exists is just so much deeper for ACF than it is for Metabox. So quite honestly, I think it's harder for people to really adapt to Metabox. But the thing that is cool about Metabox, obviously, is you have so much other stuff baked into it, like, the ability to create post types, and there's a lot of other stuff too. So I think Metabox is cool, but I honestly still prefer ACF. Kyle, is there, instead of a shortcode, can the calendar embed become a block? Yeah, absolutely. We want to do that because there's also another segment of the plugin repo that is block enabled. So that will be really nice for us to do. And also just because what I want to do is have the calendar in the backend fully featured, so you can actually see it rendered in the backend rather than just the shortcode. So that's definitely going to be, a priority of mine. Will there be a comparison between Pi and perhaps the event calendar? Yeah, we have a bunch of tutorial content ideas. I think some of the things we want to focus on is the features that are just sort of baked in to Pi Calendar, as opposed to, other plugins where they're add-ons, like being able to, show the event start date in the body, for instance, being able to submit a calendar event from the front end, stuff like that. So we're definitely going to work on that. Glad you saw that tutorial, Richard. Sweet. Max, I bought Metabox's LTD, but I'll always use ACF. Yeah, I think for a long time people were really were keen on Metabox because it had an LTD and ACF didn't. So I don't know. I also find the UI, well, I should say prior to ACF 6.0, a lot easier. Maybe it was just more comfortable. I'd spent a lot more time with it. I think the 6.0 ACF UI update has grown on me a little bit, but at first it was really like, whoa, this is a big change. So I think that, like I said, the Metabox LTD really like sold them quite a bit early on. Yeah, Max, definitely Gutenberg block for sure. So yeah, Pi Calendar is sick. I don't know where Elijah went. He was here in the chat. But anyway, so that's really cool. I'm thrilled at the response on Pi Calendar. It's been honestly way stronger than either of us expected. Like I said, we had 50 beta spots, and in the first, hiding from the live demo, I figured you were. We blew that out. We had like 140 people sign up, which was just incredible. So that was really sick. Nothing did break. Yeah, and I grabbed, did you see when I added that plugin, Elijah, how many Pi calendars I had in my folder? Look at this. Pi, look. Main 1.0. There was so many. I could have definitely chosen a broken version, but actually, to your credit, we haven't had very many broken versions. Recently wondered if you have sort of a single post LTD of ACF, if perhaps buy Aveda. I think Quickly includes an ACF Pro license if you buy that, which is pretty cool. Max, yeah, for sure. That it's so simple and doesn't get in the way. That was actually like the primary guiding principle of this from the very beginning, was it had to be simple and it had to intentionally not do everything. Like it's never going to do ticketing, and it's never going to do, all the things that those big events plugins do. And that was the reason why. There is no new custom post type for that plugin. You can do anything you want with it. So yeah, we have a lot of cool ideas on that. There's more to come for sure. So the feedback was great. If you haven't seen it yet, website is just picalendar.com. You can sign up for the beta test right now. And then whenever we push it onto the repo, the WordPress plugin repo, we'll definitely be able to, I'll share that with you guys as well. Events plugins are so overkill in so many situations. There's a space in the market for this. 100%. That's the feedback we've gotten time and time again, is just simplify this, make it better. And it's working. Absolutely. So I'll slightly switch gears here. I'll look at random guy's question. Let's see. My question is, if you build a blog for affiliates and Google Ads and you had to choose between GeneratePress and Blocksy, which one would you choose? Well, I've never tried Blocksy personally, and GeneratePress, I do actually have a personal AdSense blog on it that does very, very well. The website speed is just ridiculously fast, and I pretty much left GeneratePress alone in terms of its default styling and its layouts, because by default, it just does a really good job at just being a blog. So it was extremely simple. I really have to do nothing. It's just stupidly fast, and that blog does well. So I just basically would recommend GeneratePress because the free version is really capable, and you could build a blog for free, I think, with GeneratePress. So definitely go that route. Yes, Taylor. It's not Starbucks, but it is my local coffee shop. Oh yeah. Okay. Let me check what else I have on my list here. Okay, so this one's going to be super quick, but the next bit that I have is my GeneratePress course, Generate Made Easy, has a few new videos. So I'll just quickly pop this up so you can see this. So I posted, there's 12 new videos, and there's also like 15 more to come. I actually have quite a few more that are unedited. And you know what? I'll just, let's see. What would be the easiest way for me to show you this? All right, so here is the folder. You can't quite see all of it, but here is the folder of all the stuff that I have recorded. So right now I have posted and edited up to number 12, and what's coming up soon is 13 through 31. So you can see there's all kinds of new content coming. Some of these are re-records of older content just because I did a way better job. Some of these things are dives into individual elements in Generate Blocks, which wasn't there before. And then some of the stuff just wasn't there at all prior to, the previous version of the course. Like the overlay header is just so easy and something I didn't include before. And then there's like a boxed layout with hooks and some other cool stuff like that. So a bunch of new content coming. I appreciate everybody's patience. I actually have an editor, and she had a baby. So she's just, of course, been a little bit slower. So that's all good. There is more to come on that. GeneratePress Premium, got it a couple years ago. Awesome. Yeah, Mystic, I fully am on board with that, as you can tell. Generate Blocks free is totally capable too. The free version is pretty amazing. I don't think I could live without global styles in Generate Blocks Pro, but yeah, just thinking about that. Free is really good though. I have to give them credit. Thanks, Jim. I'm stoked to hear you say that. The new stuff is really good. I'm honestly way more proud of this content than I am of the previous stuff. So, kind of the wait I hope will be worth it, especially since now all of this stuff has been re-recorded with Generate Blocks 1.7. So it's all super current and really up to date. Okay. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention as well is I have another course that I'm kind of in pre-production on at the moment. So I'm gonna be creating a course called CSS Made Easy. And essentially you can see right here, beginner CSS course made for WordPress users. So the idea with this is not that it's going to be a super detailed, comprehensive, CSS course. Is not meant to compete with people like Kevin Powell and so on. But the idea is that it's going to be designed for people to get a handle on CSS as a WordPress user. There's a lot of power in knowing even just basic CSS. And so that's kind of my goal here, is to teach you CSS, show you practical examples and that kind of thing. So this is definitely something that, like I said, is in very much pre-production right now. What's going to happen is at some point in the near future, I'll open a pre-sale. Then, I'll have the production kind of going, and eventually I'll open up the full release. So this is many weeks away at this point. But I wanted to make sure you are aware of this. I quietly put this page up, and I've already had quite a few people sign up, which is really awesome. So clearly there's demand, and obviously Elijah and Kyle are both on board with that. Thank you guys. Yeah, I mean, like Kyle said, learning CSS the hard way for sure, just literally face smashing my head against the keyboard trying to learn it. And then in terms of, Elijah, like Oxygen was a big reason why I learned CSS. So shout out to Elijah and Oxygen for that. I mean, it was really like, I don't want to say necessarily, it wasn't like a necessity, but it was just extremely beneficial. So that was something that I felt like was, something I'm really stoked on, really happy that it worked out that way. I remember you and I talked at some point in the past about, you know, how embarrassingly long it took us to understand the difference between like the selector for class and ID, you know, using the pound sign versus the period. Jim says, damn it, I'm perfectly willing to throw money at you, but, but what? It's going to be great. Maybe that it's not ready yet. Yeah, like I said, I'll open up the presale at some point in the future. I want to get this next batch of generate content pushed. And then there's one other thing that we'll talk about here in a minute that I want to do. And then we're going to, you know, I'm going to put the presale live for the CSS course. But one thing at a time. Don't want to fill up my plate too much and end up shooting myself in the foot. Ernesto says, now I'm working with bricks and that's actually pushing me to learn CSS. That's exactly true. I mean, that's the exact same idea. So yeah, I mean, I think that with bricks, it would pretty much be the exact same thing. You know, it's the same kind of like build philosophy, the same way that you approach things. It's class-based. You know, there's a lot of benefit in a tool like Bricks and Oxygen to knowing CSS, especially because those tools are about as close as it gets in terms of visual interface translating directly to CSS. And that's something that I actually pointed out in a blog post like a year ago, but it's crazy how like using a tool like Oxygen, I mean, those buttons are like almost 1-for-1 for what's writing CSS for you. Hutch, I forgot to mention, you said that the plugin was great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I call it a pound sign primarily because I don't want to call it a hashtag because it's not a hashtag. Do the Brits say hash? Team pound sign, yeah. That's hilarious. What is the British term? It's hash and then Canadian pound sign? That's interesting. Oh, Lorraine, I thought you were Canadian. I call it a hash. No, oh yeah, okay, so hash marks, yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's really funny. There's other funny words, like we call them quotes, and then I think Brits call them like speech marks. That one I always found really funny. It's like in speech marks. Pound is hash. Richard is team hash. That's funny. Yeah, so it depends on the context for quotes and speech marks. Yeah, I would imagine so. I picked up calling a parking lot a car park. Car park is way better. Yeah, I like that one too. Rubbish, I think, is a fantastic word. And then I also I also love calling tacos tacos. I think it's hilarious. Leave my car at the car park to play with the other car. Yeah, that's hilarious. Hash in Canada is something completely different. Yeah, Lorraine, that's exactly what I was thinking. There's a different kind of hash we're not discussing here. Richard says, I'm looking to break away from Elementor, but I'm torn which way to go. I build a lot of dynamic content, so some tools are going to be better than others. Yeah, dynamic content. I mean, it depends on the depth and almost your own coding capability, because if you're going to use a tool like Bricks, you can go stupidly far. Same with Oxygen. Bricks and Oxygen are probably the most powerful tools with dynamic content, except maybe Quickly is coming up in terms of the Gutenberg space. Generate Blocks has dynamic content, but it's relatively basic. Although it is worth pointing out that the, what is it called? Block visibility. It's not quite what you're after. I spelled visibility wrong. The block visibility plugin is more akin to conditions, but for me, a little bit of custom code and this block visibility conditions and generate blocks goes a super long way. But in terms of dynamic content, you know, and the power that a tool like Oxygen and Bricks have, it's pretty amazing. I use the word bin and loo a lot in America, and people never understood me. Yeah, loo would be one where people are like, what are you talking about? The loo? Road is pavement here. Yeah. Hashtag for me and I'm British. That's funny. There's a lot of words that are really similar and yet so different. Not mad for coding, but tweak if you need it. Yeah, I don't know. It kind of depends on the types of sites that you're building then. It really depends. I mean, for me, the using Oxygen for dynamic sites was so fun. I mean, I just enjoyed it so thoroughly. And actually, that's something that I wanted to do coming up is a stream where here in Generate Press and Generate Blocks, we create a dynamic site akin to like a car dealership site, which is one I built and Oxygen did a video on a while back. And that did really well. That one's on the official Oxygen channel. That video did really well, but I want to do it again because that video, I was super new at the time to making videos. And so it's just probably not that great. I mean, it was fine, but you know, I'm still not that great, but at least I'm better now. And so I would hopefully be able to have a new spin on that. It would have a different approach, of course, using generate blocks. There's some, I'm sure, some custom code we'd have to kind of involve, but using the what's it called? What's the filtering plugin? Facet WP at that time has been overtaken, you know, by WP Grid Builder, and so it would just be fun. That's something I want to do. Build more dynamic type sites in the future. Alrighty, and then wow, we're already at half an hour, and I've just been rambling. This is great. Loved your dynamic membership course sites videos. So much to think of it. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. I think that video. How many views does that video have? There was quite a few of them. Oxygen Builder car dealership, 37,000. Yeah, nice. What other one did I do? Like a photo one, I think. There's something to do with, oh, here it is, portfolio photography, 20,000 views, crazy. Oh, Max said, did you already answer this one? I bought Motion Page because you endorsed it when it launched. I use it on some projects. Do you use it? I do, but quite honestly, I suck at it. You know who I think really has kind of the Motion Page game down is Design with Krako. His series on Motion Page is really excellent. I think he probably has the best GSAP Motion Page series that's available right now.
Hello.
And there's a ton of different videos here. So if you haven't watched his, I would definitely check it out. I bet you probably have because I see your name all over the place. But his stuff is really good. And then also Luke, who is now their community manager. WordPress Technology. No, not LPro. It's WordPress Technologies. He's now their community manager. And he's got a couple of videos recently on Motion Page. And his are excellent. Really, really good stuff. So like this card page transition video is really sick. You haven't heard from him, Kevin? I thought he was a part of the inner circle. And also, good morning, Kevin. Hope you're doing well, dude. I actually don't know where he's been. That's a good point. What was his most recent video? Let's see.
Hello there.
Ah! How long ago has it been since he posted? 2 months. Dang. 2 months ago. That's surprising, actually. I hope he's doing well. Yeah. If he's here, hit me up. Yeah, Max. WordPress is Luke. He's big Oxygen user, and he's now the Motion Page community manager, and he is really, really good at this stuff. I really have felt like with Motion Page specifically, if there was somebody like Kraka or Luke that came along that was just like had that eye for design and just that technical experience and could kind of blend the two, then their Motion Page content would just be exceptional and blow up. And really, my Motion Page content did very well, and I was doing the most basic shit possible with it. So he's apparently active in the Oxy or Breakdance FB group. Oh, okay. That may be why I don't cross paths with him much anymore. Just saw a reminder of YouTube Live. Brad, welcome in. Glad to have you. Yeah, perfect. Motion Page is still really cool. I actually met Rados and David last year when I was in Europe and hung out with them, and they're such cool guys. Really, really nice dudes. Did I say the word or did I say BD? I don't remember. I'll go wash my mouth out with soap. Okay, I got one more thing that I wanted to share. One more announcement anyway. Oh no. Oh no. Not good. That's weird, Kevin. Hopefully he's doing well. We'll have to try to get in touch with him and see where he's been. Maybe he's just busy with client work. I really hope that's the case. The other thing I wanted to mention real quick is I'm not going to spend much time on this because I have a full blog post coming. But I of course, this time last year, it was like early part of February 2022, I released my tool called Xenon, and that was, basically going to transpose Figma into Oxygen. And there was a number of reasons why that didn't work. And like I said, I have a blog post coming that kind of dives into that a little bit. And ultimately what I've decided to do is I'm going to just end up like kind of open sourcing that code. I am really trying to simplify my work and my life and just chop out some of this dead weight kind of stuff that really isn't going to work. So that's something that you can look forward to if you are an Oxygen or a Generate Blocks user, because that tool will work for those. It worked, well, actually that's not quite true. We never updated it to the 4.0 JSON in Oxygen, so hopefully it can convert it for you, but that's something that you can look forward to. I'm hoping that somebody who's a really competent React developer will take it and kind of run with it, because that's what the tool is built on, is React. But I really just want to put it out there and let somebody run with it. Hopefully they'll take it and do something amazing with it, especially since like Kyle just shared the official Figma to Webflow tool from Webflow. I haven't looked at it at all, but clearly there's a demand for that, because they wouldn't do that if people weren't asking for it. Okay, and then one other thing. Let's take a look at what we discussed last week, which was Kyle's article about, should you include a home link in your website navigation? This was something that's super interesting, and I would like, if you guys can, to drop your thoughts in the chat. Should you or should you not include a home link in your website navigation? Before we dig in, I'm going to just wait a second and see what you think, because I think the website, I think the results are, I don't want to say super surprising, but I do think that I probably would have gone 50-50. I think we discussed this a little bit last week, but we're going to take a look at this article. It's very interesting stuff. You use the logo. Okay, that's totally fair. Linked logos, I think are great, but that's, I think, probably a more technical thing. Yeah, exactly. Kevin just said it. Depends on audience. Less technical, yes. More technical, no. I would, because people are still used to it. Totally fair. I looked at this last week, but what is the, oh yeah, I have a home link on my site. I probably don't need it, but we'll look at the results. Pi Calendar doesn't even have a nav. Use home links, yeah. I mean, for small business sites, absolutely. Home link, just without a doubt. There's no way you could get away with it otherwise. People would be like, client's going to hit you with, where's my home logo, and make the logo bigger. My home link. Yeah, okay. So a little bit of a split consensus here. Use a home icon, otherwise you'll add it with space. Yeah, totally fair. So let's see. He did a small research project, and as others are saying, we know, of course, exactly. Linked logo must be. Yeah, absolutely. I almost always click the home logo on mobile because it's just easier. But if there is a home nav on desktop, I would actually be interested. I'm going to try to pay more attention to where my mouse is going to go. I think I might just always default to the logo now that I think about it. Because if I were on Kyle's site and I scrolled up, I think I would just, well, I don't know, actually. I was going to say I would just mash the logo. But maybe I would do home. I'm not sure. Okay, so let's see. Do people really need to go home? Purpose of the survey completely hinges on whether or not you think it's important for users to be able to go home when they want to. For an answer, I turn to one of my favorite books, Don't Make Me Think. One of the most crucial items is persistent navigation as a button or link that takes me to the site home. Okay. Oh, 100%. I wholeheartedly agree, Kevin. Not having logo link is worse than not having home. I think that, yeah, for sure. That's just a safe bet, especially on mobile. I say yes because who really knows how tech-savvy users are unless you're really targeting, say, web developers. Yeah, it's a fair assessment. Even like, it's really interesting because I have quite a few friends that are in kind of the IT management space, you know, like servers and networking and stuff. And even they, with web stuff, they'll fall apart, you know. They're extremely competent with, you know, networking and all that kind of stuff, but then there are web principles that they just fall apart on. Even DNS, I'm just like, you guys should know this. This is critical for you, but no, DNS is scary for those guys. Okay, I'm not going to read this whole article, but let's see. The experiment was, hey David, welcome in. Home on logo and hamburger menu, yeah. The aim of the experiment is to determine the importance of having a home link in the main navigation. Kyle said, I ran this experiment on the Tab website, by the way, which is all web developer traffic, and still a large portion chose to click on the home link. That's super interesting. So to gather the necessary data, set up goals and Fathom Analytics using UTM parameters. I actually noticed that you have that still currently on the site, which is really interesting. By analyzing the results. Okay. Site 1 was very tech savvy. Site 2 was more, 3 was less, and 4 was unlikely. Separating desktop and mobile. All right. Tab is site number 1. Okay. So for our highly technical audience, week 1, logo only, clicks to home. Let's see, week 2, logo and nav. Clicks to home 111. Logo clicks 53%. Nav link 46%. Interesting. Okay. Quite a few. And the clicks to home actually went up. That's really interesting. I wonder what it was about that. So then, mostly technical. Clicks to home didn't really change. Still leaning towards a logo click. Week number 3. Yeah, 50-50 split. That's really interesting. That's more than I would have thought, to be honest. I thought it would be like a 70-30 kind of thing. Mostly non-technical. So clicks to home. Actually, it's interesting too, because this total views is pretty substantial for clicks to home to not be that much, because I would assume this mostly non-technical would be some kind of business related site, some small business site, and I would assume that those people are finding whatever destination they need, if it's a form or a phone number or something like that, so they don't really need to go home. Or if it's like a restaurant site, they find the menu, and immediately close. Nonprofit, okay, there we go. Yeah, then maybe they find the information or the PDF they need. Awesome, Kevin. Glad to hear that. Crockett is alive. Tell him to hop in here if he's not busy. I'd love to hear from him. Mostly non-technical. Yeah, I mean, the non-technical starts to go less, it starts to tip the other way. And then non-technical really is just complete opposite. Logo click is 12%, nav click is 88% essentially. That's pretty impressive. Desktop only, logo click is 65%. The non-technical people are all like 60 plus years old. That's really interesting. I guess you have to be keenly aware of who your exact audience is. 65 and 34 for website 2. And then it starts to tip again. I mean, the scales just do this. They go whoop. Really interesting. Oh, what up, Luke? Where's my heart emoji? Hold on, dude. Where is it? There we go. Got it. Let's see. The reason I broke it down desktop and mobile is because on mobile the home link is hidden behind the hamburger, so it kind of changes things. Yep, totally. Okay. I'm gonna quickly scroll through this on mobile, and then I'm gonna get to Jim's question. Hello. Okay, so mobile, website 1, highly technical, logo click and nav link. Still a relatively even split for, like you said, it being hidden behind the main nav. Website 2, mostly technical, logo click was 100%. Awesome. Wow, crazy. Mostly non-technical, 100%. Oh, well, I guess, yeah. Numbers aren't that big, but still. And then non-technical logo click. So people are opening, yeah, people are opening the menu to go back to the homepage when they're less technical. That's really interesting. I think, okay, I'll let you summarize the findings here. The percentage of users who decided to go home when the only option was the logo was between 0 and 3% with an average of 1.9. What percentage of visitors will go to the homepage when they have the option to either click the logo or a home link? The percentage of users was between with an average of 2.1. Which option is more popular among the users, the site logo or the home, when both are provided? Both the more technical audiences preferred the logo, with the non-technical audiences overwhelmingly preferred the nav link. However, when all the data is combined, the nav link slightly edges out the logo 56% to 43%. That's super interesting. If you have a non-technical audience, this is essentially what we already kind of said. You need to fit that home link in your nav. 302% increase in visits to the homepage when the home link was introduced. That's so interesting, because I've definitely had clients that asked to take it out to make space for, other pieces of content. While technical audiences had an easier time finding their way home, there was still an increase in the percentage of visitors to home in every case once the link was introduced. Even the admin bar had an increase of 42%. Menu styling certainly has an effect. Once the home link was hidden behind a hamburger menu style, the split between logo clicks and nav links changed pretty dramatically. Except for Site 4, which still split 84 to 15 in favor of the nav link. There's a portion of the world that really doesn't know clicking the logo takes you home. Site 4 was a great example, which had the most dramatic split between logo and nav of 87 to 12%. Saw a 300% increase in visits home once given the home nav link. With this kind of audience, the home link is almost mandatory. Really interesting. I mean, I think with kind of our intuition and initial guesses, this totally makes sense, but I hadn't really given it that much thought. And I guess I'm not going to be rushing to delete the home link out of my nav. That's super awesome, Kyle. Thanks for doing that. Really, really sick. Very interesting stuff. I'm going to drop this link in chat. Also, while you're on the admin bar, is the survey still open, Kyle? A couple more days, right? For the agency survey? Where is it? Oh yeah, here it is. It's up at the very top of the site. So while you're in here, go ahead and take his agency survey. This is really awesome, totally anonymous. All this data is going to come back to you. You definitely want to take this survey. Really awesome. Yeah, Vicky, you were actually the one that asked last week about whether this data was going to be public, and there it is. So it's awesome. David says, I certainly thought that linking the logo to the homepage was such a convention that most people would use it. Yeah, I mean, I really don't know. It just depends on the technicality of your audience. Yes, of course you can sub. Just hit the sub button. That's all you got to do. While you guys are here, please drop a like for me before you leave. I would really appreciate that. This stream is doing really well. I'm super stoked. Hopefully your call is with a client that can pay you. Max says, I remember you've been using WP Cody. Are you now on ChatGPT bandwagon? I'm in love with GitHub Copilot these days for my code projects. Yeah, I've got to be 100% honest. If I need any kind of like AI code assistance, I just go straight to ChatGPT, to be honest. I found that WP Cody was really, really good. But for me, it was just easier. Having that conversational flow with ChatGPT where it's like, okay, well, you made this suggestion, but I need this to slightly change, and then it fixes it. It's pretty insane. I never did a video on the AI stuff because I just thought it was so overdone, but I'm not at all going to hide behind the fact that I absolutely have used it on real sites, and it's developed some really, really useful code. I think it's a fantastic tool. I mean, there's just no way around it. Taylor's got to go off to David Lloyd's. Awesome, dude. Have a good time, man. I'll see you in a couple months at David Lloyd's. Okay, so while the point of this stream, since we have so many people here, is that, of course, you can ask whatever questions you want. It can be related to WordPress, blocks, anything. We can chat about it. Go get them muscles, Tinker. We actually, when I went with Taylor quite a few times to David Lloyd's, we didn't even touch the gym. It was all that spa, baby. What do you think about the security of ChatGPT generated code? I think it's all contingent on what you're doing with it. You obviously need to be able to know what's happening and the type of code that it's writing for you, and also what are you doing with it. If it's just like conditionally showing something on the page, that's not a big deal. Because I mean, you're not really going to write code that will be of big concern. But if you're doing something like letting people fill out forms on the front end, or something to do with payments and that kind of thing, then obviously I think it's really contingent on your use case. Lorraine says, ChatGPT paid or free? I'm just using the free version. I haven't ponied up yet. I haven't really felt the need to. I don't use it often enough to really feel like I need the paid version. Do you know an easy, good way to implement a light dark mode to solve the saves user browser settings? Well, Kyle has a light dark mode thing here. I forget how he did it, but I'm pretty sure he has a toggle on it. I mean, a tutorial on it. Depends on what builder you're using, though. Let's see. In GB content templates are tied to the customizer. To create a second archive that looks different, I've been dropping the query loop block into a page. Is that a good way to do it? Yeah, I mean, you absolutely have the ability to. But I want to clarify, if you're talking about generate blocks and you're not using generate press as your theme, I mean, with generate press, you can use an element to create your custom archive template. So like, you would just go with a block, and then you would say, yeah, I don't know, I already have a locations post type on here, so it'd be like locations archive, and then I can just add my container, stick in the inner container, then you would go with, your query loop. We'll just go with a 2-wide layout like this. We'll go inherit query from template, and then you would choose your location. So like in my case, I would choose locations, the archive for that. Let's see, I guess I didn't turn on the location archive, which is why that's not appearing here. Let me go do that real quick so I can clarify. Has archive is true for this post type. That's why it didn't appear. So let me save this. I'll just quickly publish this, and then I need to refresh. Thanks, Jim. Thanks for sticking around so long. I really appreciate that. Yeah, so with this archive, now I have location archive, and I can just simply turn this on, and I have full control over that with this generate press element. So that's the way that you can have far more control over your archive templates. Like I said, that's a generate press pro feature, not a generate blocks feature. But to answer your ultimate question, I mean, yeah, you can definitely just stick them on a page. There's nothing wrong with that. And then, like we just saw with the query loop element, I went ahead and turned on the inherit query from the template that it's on, because I'm just using that display rule. But if you don't, then there's really nothing wrong with changing these. This query is so fast, and your site is already so fast with generate press or whatever using blocks. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's see. I like using elements. Yeah, absolutely, Brad. Elements are so killer. Andre says, any implications upgrading from GP Pro 1.6 to 1.7 and GP Pro 1.4 to 1.5? No. So I've had super good success so far. I actually upgraded my Permaslug site, my main site here, to the release candidate. In fact, I think it's still on that. Let's go double check. Yeah, I mean, I'm still using the RCs. I haven't even updated. And I mean, I was using the RC on a live site that gets hundreds of visitors a day. So there's been no problems at all. And you can mix and match the content. So you can add the new containers with the inner container block if you want, or you can upgrade the old ones. And for me, I found that it works pretty much perfectly. There's been no issues whatsoever. Scatten 105. Did you use Oxyprops for the light dark toggle? That's a generate blocks, generate press site. So I highly doubt it. So if I do it with an element, it is still tied to the customizer? No, I mean, this isn't the customizer, unless I'm misunderstanding what you mean. Luke says, do you reckon you could build a brochure homepage quicker with your current build or with Oxygen without design sets and frameworks? Yeah, I think I could, to be honest. It depends on, obviously the complexity of it, but I do think that I could. And I mean, there are starter templates. There's a lot of them actually in Generate Press. And I mean, one of the main things is, like, I was watching this video of somebody I had never seen before, but he was doing something with bricks and like creating classes. And I was like, obviously if you use something like ACSS, you don't have to think about the class name. So I was just like, man, I don't have to do that. You don't have to think about it. You just do. And then obviously with generate blocks, as you've seen before, the global styles are extremely powerful. So especially if you build kind of your starter site and you just clone that, oh yeah, I think with a little bit of prep, then yeah, absolutely. Maybe not from totally raw, but hopefully that answers your question. We got 57 people watching. That's so awesome. This is killer. If you can, please drop a like on the stream for me. I would really, really appreciate that. I don't know how long these episodes are going to go. I think we're just going to kind of send it. See how long everybody sticks around. What kind of questions we got? You use generate blocks and I'll use oxygen. What you need to do, dude, is you need to be dropping more tutorial content on your page. Oh, there was also a question that got dropped from Max. Have you heard anything about GeneratePress and the future of it in a block theme? I have not, to be honest. I haven't really spent a whole lot of time with that. I looked a little bit and I was disappointed at what was available, you know, maybe a couple months ago. And so I just kind of dropped that. So Max, to answer your question, I have not. Kara, you mentioned a bit ago on this call that Grid Builder has overtaken Facet WP. Can you say more about that? Is your preference Grid Builder? My preference is absolutely Grid Builder because the main thing is that Grid Builder is just so much easier to use. Facet WP was so contingent on the queries that were taking place on your specific site, which made it really difficult to add content, you know, where you wanted it to appear, have the filters show up properly. And then the other thing was that it wasn't really, they never really intended it for it to be used, I don't think, with page builders. So, you know, like Grid Builder has an Elementor add-on and an Oxygen add-on and stuff. So it just works really, really well. I have a tutorial here on my channel for making it work with generate blocks, and it's so much easier to use. The interface is better. I feel like the feature set is better. The docs are better. It's just, for me, there's really no comparison. I used Facet WP for a long time, and when Grid Builder came out, I legit haven't used it since Grid Builder came out. And that was, I don't even know. When did Grid Builder come out? Like 2019, maybe? 2020, perhaps? Something like that. I can't quite remember. Can you show us how flexible Generate Blocks is compared to Oxygen and complex design? I mean, let's see. I mean, the thing is, like, there's no doubt that something like Oxygen and Bricks is more capable in terms of its just like raw power. There's no comparison. It's just like those tools are designed to be more flexible. The thing for me is that I get all the power that I need with really no restriction, especially when you add in a little bit of CSS and you add in, you know, a little bit of PHP here and there, which you're still going to have to do with something like Oxygen and Bricks, for sure. I mean, that's why frameworks exist, is to make it faster and easier to use. The Tesla website, does it still look the same as it did when I built the Motion Page site? Oh, nice. Good loading time. Yeah, I mean, this would not be hard to do. The centered menu is possible. Like, I mean, the Tesla site in particular, other than this scroll snapping thing, you could do easily. There are some frustrating limitations, like, you know, to do something like absolute position, you'd have to kind of flip that to some CSS, but I mean, that's nothing crazy. Vicky says, is PyCalendar going to be able to have multiple dates of one post or recurring events? Multiple dates for one post. We have not considered that, but recurring events is definitely on the radar. Recurring events is for sure going to be in the pro version whenever we get to that point. But the pro version, you know, is going to be really affordable. The free version is also going to be really capable. And for those of you that missed it earlier, PyCalendar is going to be in the WordPress plugin repository at some point soon. And then, of course, you'll be able to test that and get update notifications and all that kind of stuff. So I'm really stoked for that. Here we go. Just wanted to save your ears. What's up, Bryn? Welcome in. Glad to have you, dude. Stream is popping off today. I'm glad to have everybody here. This is awesome. Jim had to tear out, but he had a question. Or no, was it Jim? I think it was. Under the anything goes category, thoughts on Quickly. I think Quickly is very interesting. When I first used it, the interface was overwhelming and really frustrating. I used it on their like little, trial demo site thing. And the it was like, it felt almost like Oxygen for Gutenberg, where it was just like, whoa, the interface, there was just like a bar up here and a bar on both sides. And it was just like, oh, there's just so many things that I felt like it was overwhelming and too much. And I just, at that point, I wasn't willing to learn another tool like that. I think Quickly is very interesting for people that want that Gutenberg feel and to be closer to core, but you want all the power of something like Oxygen. So it's not for me, but I think it is a very interesting tool. And the other thing is, I think it's still, if I'm not mistaken, comes bundled with ACF Pro. And that alone, if you don't have the LTD for ACF, that's amazing. It's really, really awesome. Kara, thank you. I really appreciate that. I hope Grid Builder is helpful. And like I said, I have a bunch of content on it. Some of it, or most of it, is for Oxygen, but it will all still be, really relevant. The principles are all still the same, and thankfully their interface hasn't changed a whole lot. So the, all of that stuff still should be relevant. Vicky, how much is it going to cost? Not sure I'm ready to disclose what the pricing is going to be just yet, but it will be, like I said, it will be affordable. It's going to be some kind of yearly plan of some description, but it's not going to break the bank by any stretch. The whole approach of that plugin just in general was keep it simple, and that's exactly what we're going to do with the Pro version. Bryn, I felt that Quickly compromised too much on the client experience in favor of the dev experience. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, I just had a client project go live for a fairly large company. It had, I forget how many pages. It was like, I want to say like 30 or 40 content pages. There was 2 or 3 different custom post types. The company was big enough, that they have a marketing director, somebody that's responsible for updating the content on the site. And the whole reason that they hired me was to be able to go switch to generate blocks. And the reason why they wanted to do that was because their previous developer had built this just crazy ACF interface. Everything was built with flexible content, which, if you know, ACF flexible content is a terrible editing experience, even for people like us that are technical. And so they really needed something that was just better, something easier to use and that felt more, just like client friendly. And ultimately, it worked out. They came back to me and they said, the client is thrilled. They were like, they're able to get in there, even though like marketing assistants are able to get in there. And I know there's people that don't have that same kind of like, let the client in there. Some people are staunchly against that. And I don't know, you can treat your clients and your business however you want. But I think that empowering clients to be able to do their own stuff on the site when they're reasonably technical is really awesome. So yeah, I totally agree, Bren. There's no way I could let a client into Quickly. And that's kind of the case with Oxygen. I never let clients into Oxygen. People would ask and I was just like, no. I'll make you an ACF field. Don't go in there. There was just no way I could ever let that happen. So I don't know. It's kind of the same. We had like 70 people in this biatch. This is awesome. Okay, so I forgot. So Jim asked me about, actually relatively related to what we were doing here with this query loop. So we only have one location, so I'm going to switch this back to posts, and then if there's an image, in fact, unfortunately, I think these images are all going to be relatively the same size, which is the point of this. Well, they vary a little bit. A little bit. I mean, they're all the same aspect ratio pretty much. We'll get back to that in just a second. Max says, I've been creating some Gutenberg Pinegrow blocks. They're so cool for clients. Yeah, so I think Pinegrow is really cool. The other thing that's pretty badass is Block Studio, if you haven't heard of that. Next week, the same time, Friday, 9 a.m., US Central Time, I'm going to have Taylor Drayson on, and we're going to be talking about custom blocks and how we can use custom blocks for client editing experience, which is like, honestly, I think in my opinion, custom blocks, if you're concerned with client editing, there's no better way. Like, it is just simply unbelievable. I wish I had an example to show you here live, because it's like about as good as it gets, to be honest. And with that, like the way that you can build a block that can be used anywhere on the site, and then the sidebar has the controls for just like what pieces of content go there, but you can't screw up the design. You can reorganize it, but you can't screw it up, is like amazing. So we'll see. I wish Taylor was here in the chat, because he probably would have something that he could share with me, but he is busy driving to the spa because he's fancy. I wonder what PHP snippet Taylor comes up with while doing the bench press. Yeah, for real. Does he go to sleep at night with, instead of counting sheep, he's counting PHP snippets? He said something crazy like in the WP Codebox group about how many snippets do you have? And I forget, somebody can correct me, but I think he was like, I have 70. And other people were like, I have 5. Me, I have 2. Yeah, I mean, Bad Cat, you're not wrong. You can screw anything up, but you could just delete it. You could simply delete the block. That's screwing it up too. Counting items in arrays. Yeah, for real. Let's see. Do you ever do a tutorial about how to use reusable library with Gutenberg, like how we did in Oxygen? I don't think specifically dedicated to that, but the stream that I did with the WP Cody when it first came out, so you look back like a couple of months, I think the stream title was It's Like Magic. That one, we touched on reusable blocks and even added a little shortcode to the header here. Reusable blocks in Gutenberg are pretty badass. I think they're the best implementation of reusable blocks that I've come across for WordPress sites. Sorry, I need to clear my throat again. Whoa! I'm good. Max says, yeah, Pinegrow exports to a plugin and is independent of the builder and free. Only if you do nested blocks, you need Pro. Wow, okay, I didn't know that. That's pretty sick. With Pinegrow, with Block Studio, thank you, by the way. With Block Studio, you do need the plugin installed, but the export import feature is there now, and I think you can share them a lot easier than you could. And that, to me, I think is probably the thing that will open up a really interesting ecosystem, is if the import-export is really clean and easy to use. And ideally, if you don't need the plugin, that would be so sick. But I mean, I don't know, I guess maybe that's open to abuse a little bit. But either way, I think that opening up an ecosystem of custom blocks is pretty sick, because there is a plugin that will do like a swiper JS slider for Gutenberg, but it's frustrating because it nags the hell out of you for like putting your email in. And then the other thing is that it also is tied to Freemius, which has that like call home feature, and not feature, call home stuff under this what am I trying to say? It basically has stuff that's extracting user data without, acknowledging. And there was a stream that Paul from WP Tuts did a while back where they kind of asked the developer about that, and they claim they're fixing it. But for me, I really don't want anything to do with plugins that use Freemius. Brad Franklin, custom blocks. Were you referring to developing from scratch, coding from scratch? Yeah, absolutely. Custom blocks is like basically from scratch blocks. So the idea of Pinegrow and with Block Studio is that it just makes it a whole lot easier. So you're not having to register block types and all that kind of stuff. It's more like a JSON header at the top, and you kind of define the plugin attributes at the very top. Then with some PHP, you can kind of define what you want the user to do. So you can give them specific fields, and then you can associate those fields with like the HTML and the PHP in the backend. So it's really, really cool. It's not something I've spent a whole lot of time on, but I had a case where a client needed the ability to add like a downloadable PDF, and it was just the easiest solution for them was to create a custom block, make it really easy for them to add and reorganize and do that kind of thing, and it's really good. Yeah, I don't know, that site, I'm not sure why you went and looked for that video, but yeah, sure. Max says you could try to build a Pi calendar block with Pinegrow. Give it a try. I think that's a challenge for somebody else. I'll let somebody else do that. I've gotten distracted a couple times here, but let me go try to address what Jim and one other person in my Facebook group asked about. Let's just go. I'm gonna find a picture of some Pi. We'll just do like this tall version. I want some images that have varying aspect ratios, that aren't just all complete rectangles. This one looks really wide. That's great. This is exactly what I want. So what I'm going to do is let's just go with another location. I'm just going to create a couple of posts here, and then let's set their featured image. Let's just grab this photo. I want to just make a couple of posts that have varying levels of content and different size featured images to demonstrate how you can make them line up and be consistent on the same line. another location, and then we'll just go with a third location. Then in this case, we'll do a longer body text. Then with this one, we're just gonna pop in that. Okay, so that one's got that 9:16 aspect ratio. So that is perfect. So where did I put that? Oh, it's right here. Yeah, so if we, refreshing is fine, I believe. Yeah, so locations archive. And then for our query loop, if we inherited the query from the template, it's not gonna work here in the backend. So let's change this to locations. Then we're going to insert before, and if we go with an image, and then we stick some dynamic data on for the featured image, then the problem is that you can have varying heights like this. So if you came from somewhere like Bricks or Oxygen, you're probably already gonna know the best way to go about this. But the thing that I would do, in fact, let me change the post template here to 3 wide so we can see this a bit better. The first thing I would do is personally, there's gonna be a million ways to do this, so somebody's gonna tell me it's wrong or there's somewhere better, but this is how I'm gonna do it. I would go with a container. So with this container, I can then go to the sizing and I can set the height to whatever I want. Like 300 pixels, that may actually be a little bit too tall for this scenario, maybe 200 even, something like that. Then all I need to do is for my backgrounds, for my dynamic data, we can just go background image source, that's what I wanted, and set that to the featured image. And then you can see it's just gonna fit that perfectly. So it looks like I didn't actually set a featured image on this Main Street section, and that's okay, because we can actually stretch this content to fit. So we might, because it's in a grid and a query loop, we might have to use a little bit of CSS to do that. It's no problem. So with the container, we just simply need to add a little bit of margin on the bottom, 1 EM, something like that. Just like that. So you can see, Jim, I believe this was your question, actually. You've probably been waiting for this for a while. I appreciate your patience. So yeah, exactly. So the image will clip like that. Now in this case, we have, is object fit an option? I believe it is actually, Elijah. That's a good point. I just much prefer doing the container approach. Let's see. Object fit, yeah. So actually, I guess you're right. That would work here too. Featured image, and then object fit would be something like contain, and then your height. Right? Yeah. There we go. So object fit cover, and then I did 200. So that would work too. So you could do it either way. The thing that I like about the container option is that you can then put stuff on top of it. So if you wanted, you could set this container to be a flex layout, and you can put something over the top. You could have the post title, or a link, or whatever you wanted. The date could be on top of this. So the container just gives you a little bit of additional flexibility, but there's nothing wrong with the image approach at all. The other thing is, with the container approach, you can also use the gradient, overlay. So we could add an additional gradient on top of this. So pseudo like that. And then if we just set the color to be the same thing twice, then we don't have to worry about the gradient direction, and we'd want to make that darker. So you can go like 55%. So you can super easily do an overlay like that with the container approach, as opposed to the image. But to Elijah and Luke's point, there's nothing wrong with the image as well. So hopefully that helps. I figured that once you saw it, you'd be like, oh yeah, makes sense. Easy peasy on that one. The other thing is, I also wanted to mention that, just by pure chance, this stuff is all exactly the same length. Let's actually go refresh here. Let's see. Oh, my archive is not designed this way. It's because the template that I'm using, that's why it's not that way, because I didn't use the full width layout. But what I was going to say is, the alignment here, if you don't end up having the exact same length content, you're probably, in the case of a query loop specifically, you're probably going to have to use CSS and set the align items to stretch, whereas we have that ability on Flex containers. So all we would need to do is this align items is set this to stretch. It's not going to do anything here, but if you're just building a card layout outside of a query loop, you can do align items stretch, and that will make the content, the cards stretch. Thanks, that helps a ton. Awesome. Title over image, z-index. Yeah, so you can set z-index on the container and really easily do that. Exactly, Jim. The aha moment. Does Gutenberg have a UI dark mode? I don't think so, but I actually looked for a code snippet out there to see if somebody had done it, and I didn't see it. So if somebody does it, let me know. I'd definitely check it out, that's for sure. David, not sure if you want to address this here, but if we were to purchase Generate Made Easy, would only one person in our agency be eligible to go through it? I mean, technically it's supposed to be, one person, but there's nothing stopping you from doing that. So do you? Oh no! My camera says internal temp too high. How is that possible? That's a disaster. Allow to cool. Are you serious? That is not ideal. Now there's just a little black square. I researched this camera so much. Would never happen in Canada. Yeah, David, I'm not going to throw a big fight about it, but technically it's supposed to be one person. I don't really have a fan in here that's not going to make a racket. I could just switch to my old hideous looking camera. Yeah, ice cubes. I'm going to just pour my coffee on it. That should work. Or do you guys just like the black square? I probably look better in the black square. Where is my other one? I know I still have my other camera plugged in. Maybe I can try that. Video capture device. C920. There we go. Woo! We'll just put that back up here until the other one pops up. At least there's something. This camera is off to the side there. There we go. B cam. Perfect. Look at how hideous this one looks. Perfect. Looks so good. Oh boy. That's funny. Hashtag streamer things. I forget what's the longest stream I've done with this new camera. I feel like I've done longer ones. I think. There we go. You're getting a new perspective. In fact, I can show you around my room. Cool. What other questions do you guys have? Anything? Toss them at me. I might step away for just a second, take a quick break, and we can reconvene for a little while longer. Does this count as B-roll then? I think so. Let's see the sticker board. Good question. Let me check. Well, it's really hard to see now, especially since this camera is so much smaller, but there's right there is the admin bar one. Where is Snippet Club? Taylor Snippet Club, I think, is right there. There's the Gravity Forms ones I really like. I don't think there's much in the way of new ones that you haven't seen yet, but there's plenty of them on there. Like my real-time camera sizing. Pretty sick. I guess I need to turn off this other camera and hope that it comes back online. There we go. If you have any stickers, send me them. If you have oxygen stickers, Elijah, anything like that. That's the point of this board. Get cool stuff up on there. What cool stuff are you guys working on? Any questions? Let me check my email real quick. I had some questions pop in there earlier. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Bunch more Pi Calendar signups. More client work. Motion Page 2.1. Let's go, dude. That sounds awesome. Bunch of new Pi Calendar signups and CSS course signups. Got a bunch of stuff. That's sick. So yeah, no additional questions. Let me double check in Facebook real quick. Do you do custom dashboards? I'm using a custom widget these days with my contact info. I would like to up my game there. You know, I don't actually. I do not. It's not really something that I've been super, concerned about, to be honest. Like that kind of thing just really isn't something I spend a whole lot of time on. I like to try and like push towards the more, I don't want to say more relevant stuff. That's not what I mean, but more like needle moving type stuff. At Elijah Mills, I wonder, are you from Oxygen official developer? Yes, he is. That is the Elijah, the Oxygen Elijah. Also the Pi Calendar Elijah. 2.1 I don't think is out yet, but they're actively working on it. What are some of the cool features coming, if you can share, Luke? Surely there's some good stuff. Yeah, 2.0 just did come out. Do you know if there's a way to style the login for password protected pages? Well, let's take a look. Probably going to have to use CSS for that. So let's just go with demo page. We'll add some content and then let's add in a grid. I'm just going to stick some content in here so we have something to see the password protected nature. Nope, not upload media. You went into functions and added it there. Hi, by the way, as well. Let's see. So visibility, password protected. We're just going to go with permaslug as the password. So then if we view this page, I think I should be able, oh, you can see it. Okay, so what about this? Do you want to style? Just like changing, what about it? Biggest new feature will be cursor hover interactions. Ooh, nice. Cool. Like I said, Luke, earlier, if there's somebody like you that can make killer motion page content, I promise you'll do well. I really, really think so. Also, you know what I've thought is if somebody out there was so good at motion page that you could be like hired to do those motion animations for people, I really do think that somebody would do well with that. I don't know that there's necessarily a huge demand for it, but I think it would grow over time because clients ask for like, can we incorporate some motion? We want this to pop in like this. I do think that you could do well. You're not using GB right now. Oh, well, this is actually right. All of this right here is Generate Press. So this is the theme that's kind of handling it. What do you use? Any news on the interactive path feature, which is available on BricsForge? Working on content for the official channel. Awesome, dude. I'm glad to hear that. Yes, Elementor. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I don't think, unless I'm mistaken, I don't think there's a way out of the box to style password protected pages and Generate Press either. I think in this case, you're just going to have to use CSS. Like, depending on what you want, it should be fairly straightforward. You're going to have to definitely heavily rely on CSS for that. In fact, these don't even have unique classes or anything. So yeah, it would be a little bit tricky, but you could definitely do it. It's kind of a bummer, but I don't know. I guess it just depends. I mean, I don't know how many people use the built-in Gutenberg password protection feature as opposed to like, a membership plugin or something like that that's going to handle that for you. I don't really know. Awesome imitation. For which bit? Which part's the imitation? Man, this stream is doing extremely well. This is staggering. I'm really just blown away. I would appreciate all of you guys if you can drop a like on the stream for me, please. The stream is doing so well. Actually, you know what I'm also curious about? Obviously, I recognize quite a few of you guys here in the chat, but how did you guys find this? Did you see my email? Did you find it in YouTube? I'm really curious. Also, don't just like the stream. If you can also hit that subscribe button as well, that would be. There's something to be said for consistency though. Like I said, this is going to be a weekly Friday morning stream. Word on the street. Email. Awesome. Bren, I think, found it in the secret Discord channel. Membership option would be good, yeah. The video was forced upon me in my inbox. I personally hand-delivered that to you, buddy. As a subscriber, I got a notification. Awesome. Cool. Rados is hoping to implement GreenSock's motion path in the next update, but will need a lot of testing. Rados is a badass developer and also a badass dude, so I'm sure he can handle it. YouTube put it at the top of my homepage. I'd already subscribed. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that, David. That's really sick. Like I said, these are going to be weekly streams. Next week is going to be that Block Studio stuff with Taylor, which should be really awesome. Probably will get fairly technical, but worth a watch. And then we'll see who he ends up nominating as the next guest. Brad says, snippets, child theme function, or plugin with your customizations. Laura, awesome. That's super awesome. Really, really appreciate that. Block Fridays. Everybody should do that. Block your Fridays. Jonathan, can you make the next stream from start to end with your customer's voice? Oh, that's the imitation you meant. I see now, for sure. I like to do a Southern customer imitation. I'm in the Panhandle of Florida, so we got some Southern folk here. So Brad says, where do you put your stuff? I am 100% on the WP Codebox train. For me, there's just no better way. I mean, WP Codebox is so awesome. The interface is great. The cloud snippets feature is so awesome. In fact, you can see here some of the cloud snippets that I use on a regular basis. Those are just right there. So if I wanted, I can just simply click this and download it straight from my private little snippet cloud. This is just, it's just so cool. The other thing that I really love is, I can download this real quick so I can get out of this interface. The other thing that I really love is with WP Codebox, I also have the ability to choose, of course, where this snippet loads, and then also give it conditions. So it can be front end or back end. I can also choose the little condition builder to show this on specific posts or pages. So for me, WP Codebox is just the best. You can also change, oh yeah. Actually, you know what? Look at this. I'm not going to change this because I haven't downloaded my UI settings from the cloud. So there we go. Font size 14. Just for you, dude. And then you also have the ability to set light or dark mode, depending on what you want. You can change the editor theme. Dracula, I think, is probably my favorite. And then also, obviously, you can control your sidebar too. The other thing that I think is really nice is you can move from your main admin area. You can move this to the tools menu. And that's something I think more plugins should implement. The fact that there's not, that there's not more controls to do that is really frustrating. Vicky says, this is more a client non-technical question. Is any general rule or agreement about client letting you write your company name on the footer? I had some issues lately and just wondering. That's a good question. So I actually put that in my main like website agreement with clients, like the onboarding agreement that they sign. It says you allow us to put our link back to the website, and it says exactly what it's going to say. It's going to say website by, and then the A link is our company name. And if they want to remove that, there's a $250 fee. Nobody has ever paid the fee, and nobody has ever given up any kind of, resistance to that. However, I will say we have done a lot of white label work for other agencies, and in that case, I don't push it. If it's somebody else's client, that's no big deal. Obviously, I'm not going to fight that. So there are cases where I just don't do it and I just don't fight it. So I think really like using your own discretion is probably the best way to go about that. Some people are just weird about it. Some people are just, it's mine. I don't want that. That's mine. So they may not be down with it. Laura says, no need for a child theme if you use WP Codebox, correct? Yes, that is correct. In fact, I know there are quite a few Generate Press, people that use, the child theme approach. I actually don't do that. I think it's just really like not, I don't really see the value in it because all of my custom code is going to go in WP Codebox. So for me, the child theme approach is just extra work. I'm not really like, I'm not, I don't think it's necessary. Super duper question indeed, Luke. I agree. And then Bren says a client might appreciate a branded up child theme. That's a good point. Although I just don't think that most clients are really going to care about that in terms of my clients. They're not going to get in the back end and say, well, why does my theme not say my name on it? They wouldn't even know that's a possibility. So I don't really bother with that. Maybe if they were technical and they kind of knew WordPress, possibly, but even then, I don't know that that's exactly important. What other questions do you guys have? David says, using code snippets in a child theme, I'll have to check into CodeBox. Yeah, I mean, the other thing is, like, there's nothing wrong with functions.php, and every tutorial you're going to find just in general across WordPress online is going to instruct you to go put it in your functions.php. The other thing that I think is really cool is when you're using a PHP or like a JavaScript type snippet, you can set them to inline or external file to load. So the external file is going to give you the benefit of the performance impact of that. And then you can also, set it to load the snippet in the footer of your site or the header. You can see actually there's even more options now in CodeBox 2.0 because this is the beta. All this other stuff didn't exist in the past. Front end header after page builders. Oh, that's dope. Login header, front end footer. See, yeah, like a lot of times, like for the WordPress, what am I trying to say? For like Google Analytics tracking, I'm putting that in the front end footer. I don't need that to be in the header. It's not that critical. And I want that to be deferred later so that I don't impact page speed performance. That was actually something I picked up from the Perf Matters performance team. So that's definitely something I use. When are we meeting up with pitchforks to demand RIM units? I know, it's ridiculous, dude. The fact that we have RIM units in GeneratePress Customizer and not in Generate Blocks is so silly. I really, really hope that we get that. And then it'll just be so consistent. It'll be so easy. But we have M, I guess, which is okay. RIM is coming, 100% on the way. Next GB update. Oh, hell yeah. Let's go. Is it going to be 1.7.1 kind of update? Is that the idea, Kyle? And then Brad says, curious on your dev workflow, local staging sites, then live. I pretty much only use local for testing and for like YouTube tutorials and streams and stuff like that because it's just easier. For anything that's actually going to be a real site, I pretty much always use Cloudways. I just create a air quotes staging site on Cloudways, one with the Cloudways staging domain, and then from there I just clone that over to whatever server it's actually going to live on and just go from there. I like to have it live on a Cloudways server because there's been more times than I can count where I needed to do some kind of update, like on my laptop or change computers, and then I don't have that site because it was on local and I feel like an idiot. And with Cloudways, it's just there's consistent backups and everything is good. Just migrated to Cloudways. Awesome. Cloudways, obviously, I mean, it's not perfect, but for me, it's the best balance of cost and features and, simplicity and that kind of thing. Without RIM, everybody hurts. Yeah. Okay. Y'all behave real quick. I'm going to take a quick potty break, and then we're going to do about 25 more minutes or so. And then we're going to probably aim for 2 hours today. So come up with some more questions. I'll be right back. Let's see if the good camera is back. Uh-oh, it's upside down. Is it back? Oh, come on. What? Activate. There we go. Woohoo! The good camera's back. I like the little wider view. There we go. 16 by 9. There we go. Perfect. All right. JavaScript's not going to work. Why not? This isn't proper syntax? Maybe if I write Luke. There we go. Welcome back, Cam A, indeed. You can see the quality difference. It's pretty insane. Okay, let's see. I'm interested in menus, especially when you build a badass accessible menu like you did, Elijah. Can you show me what your current workflow is for building menus? How's the accessibility? Yeah, I mean, Kyle's already kind of touched on it here. The Gutenberg kind of menu block is hot garbage. So the generate press built-in menu is totally functional. We can quickly take a look at that. Let's go create a menu. So we have some content on there. Primary menu, create, and we'll just toss a couple of pages on here. Let's get the locations. Locations, is it? Well, I guess I should clarify when I say hot garbage, I mean it's just not, it doesn't have the most styling options. We'll go with all locations or something. And I just wanted to put something in here so we have a little menu to work with. Yeah, so I mean, well, actually, let's go to the customizer now. That was my point here. I'm so thrilled at how well this stream is doing. This is amazing. Thank you, everybody, for being here this whole time. And Kyle, for re-upping your membership, dude. 17 months. I think you hold the record. If maybe not. I don't know about Luke and Taylor. You guys are all kind of around the same time, but 17 months of membership, that is pretty badass, dude. Thank you. All right. Yeah, okay. So layout, header. So I just touched on this in my updated course content, but your header presets are, I don't know, I guess you would say not super comprehensive, but for me, it's more of a trade-off because it's totally capable. Like there's a lot of, power that you have just right there baked in, or not power. That's actually not what I should say. It just works really well. It's written semantically. It's got the accessibility component to it. And so with these controls, you have some flexibility, but not a whole lot. Proud Pup, thanks so much for hanging out. Really appreciate you being here. Leonardo, which builder you recommend for WooCommerce? Sorry if this is not a subject for this live. No worries. To be honest, I don't have a whole lot of WooCommerce experience in the recent past. I do know that it works with Generate Press and Generate Blocks. So I would definitely, that would be something that I would give a go at least, but I think just in general for normal sites and, if you're doing like a small e-commerce store, there's nothing wrong with WordPress, but quite honestly, for more complex stores, I just think it doesn't make any sense to go with something like WooCommerce. I think just like a Shopify or something like that is just the correct way to go. Other people probably have a different opinion on that. I know there's lots of agencies and lots of people that build complex WooCommerce stores, but for me, it's not my favorite cup of tea, to be honest. However, for WooCommerce, I think just about every builder is going to work fine. Depends on your level of control, though. Luke, I was hyping you up, boy, and you scammed me. I've been scammed. This is not good. I lied. You lied to me. Anyway, Elijah, so yeah, I mean, you can see, obviously your options here are relatively basic. Like I told you the other day when we chatted, I don't recall I haven't looked that in depth to your new accessible component in Oxygen, so I don't know what the level of control is, but I have to assume that really like the trade-off here is having some kind of like really powerful, I don't know, like mega menu type builder versus having something with less control, but it's more accessible and, easier to use and that kind of thing. You know what? Let me see. Is it on here? Yeah, look at this. So back on the admin bar website, this is a generate press and generate blocks website. And look at this badass mega menu. So this is something that I know Taylor Drayson was working on. As always, Taylor's always working on something badass. And this is hooked in using a generate blocks, generate press element. This is all built with generate blocks components, and it just looks really, really nice. And as far as I'm aware, this still fares fairly well in the accessibility component. Like Kyle said, the just kind of plain Jane nav in generate press scores an A, and I think the mega menu drops more like to a C. But there are cases where you really do need a mega menu, and I mean sometimes it's almost like, oh, it's B+. Okay, that's better than I thought. New Ninja design set has some of these awesome, dude. I mean, I think that the mega menus that existed even like 2 years ago in Oxy Ninja were really awesome. 100% accessibility is a myth. Anyways, yeah, I mean, it's probably just going to always be a moving target and really depend on your audience. But this is something really cool. I'm not sure exactly what Taylor's plan is for releasing this, but his website, snippetclub.com, I believe it's there. Let's see. Snippet Club, where's his latest tutorial? There it is right here. So this is a premium tutorial, I believe, building a mega menu with generate press and blocks. But you can see this is how it's built. I mean, it's just with the visual interface. This is so awesome. Slightly back to the WooCommerce side of things, Brad says trying to get away from WooCommerce memberships and subscriptions is nice. Starting to look into Stripe products. Ever look into this? I did a little bit, but I ultimately decided to go with ThriveCart for like all of my digital products. Anything PremiseLog now runs through ThriveCart and is off of WordPress. And there are some limitations with that, as compared to like protected content on your WordPress site. But for me, selling those digital products like the courses and having the course content live in ThriveCart is just awesome. It's really, really powerful. And then you said looking into building a membership subscription with Colander? I'm not familiar with Colander. But yeah, I mean, ThriveCart's really powerful. There's a lot that you can do with it. Something like Snippet Club, I know Taylor's memberships are all handled through, what's the WP Manage Ninja? Is it not the CRM one, but the other one? Maybe it is the CRM one. They have a plugin that does something like this. I forget exactly. I apologize. There's something that's there with like the member tags and stuff like that. Kara, Fluent CRM? Is it Fluent CRM that he uses to like handle the tags and the memberships and stuff here? Oh, okay. Colander is calendar scheduling. Got it. You'll check it out. Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting one. I'm not sure the combination of memberships and calendar plugins. That's interesting. Or maybe that's a third-party service. You could technically do something like that with PyCalendar, I believe. Be a little bit more flexible. Okay, yeah, Luke. Then yeah, exactly. Taylor and I used it on Oxy Build Challenge, so I bet he used it here again for sure. Kara, excuse me, question was, you rated the menu as a B+, how are you determining that? And then I had an accessibility person look at it and give me some feedback. It did majority of the stuff well, but it does have some issues. So it's an informed estimate indeed. Haven't found anything I like yet. Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I used Calendly for a long time with my clients, but ultimately I turned it off. I just didn't use it enough, and I kind of wanted to get away from clients being able to book calendar appointments anytime they wanted, so I stopped using it and stopped sharing the link. Ujan, hi. Welcome in. The stream has been going, what are we at now? An hour and 45 minutes? Yeah, this is great. I actually had 3 streams in a row a while back that were all within like a minute of each other, and I think they were an hour and 46 minutes, so we might have to end right now. Oh, they were an hour and 43. No, we already passed it. What else we got in terms of questions? How delicious does this look? Woo. I would go for some of that right about now, even though I haven't had any food yet today. Just riding on my coffee wave. I have somebody that's supposedly coming to my house in 20 minutes, but I haven't heard from them. So we're just going to keep streaming until that happens. If you haven't, please drop a like on my stream. And also, shout out to Luke for new membership, tisk tisk. And then Kyle for that, what was it, 17 months? Thanks, dude. Memberships are just little fees you can join here on the channel, and they're going to give you a little bit of, you know, boost in chat. You get a fancy colored name and a little badge next to your name. You get some extra emojis in chat, stuff like this. So really just helps support the channel. I appreciate you guys. Almost noon. It's almost 11 o'clock here. I'm on Central Time, so one back from Eastern Seaboard Time. Look at those emoji spam. Let's go. What else? What did I want to cover today? You know, this has been great because I had like a vague idea of what I wanted to cover in this stream. I actually closed out of my little notes that I had. What did I do with that? Off to live stream myself. Awesome, dude. Thanks, Kyle. Always good to have you. Let's see, off 2 a.m. here, dude. Yeah, that's crazy. I think the Tokyo time is fairly similar because it's like whatever time it is for me, flip it and add 2. Something like that. I feel like a clown. I don't actually know what he's off the stream. Is he? I wonder if he's joining somebody else. I don't recall there being an admin bar stream today. 20 minutes. Okay, cool. Got a few extra minutes. The person coming to my house is going to be about 10 minutes late. So I have time for about 20 more minutes of questions and chilling and chatting. So let me know what you guys have. Welcome. Flip it and add 3. Yeah, probably because of the daylight savings time change and stuff like that. 1848 in Greece. I am in Florida. It's funny you're in Greece, but your name is the New Yorkian. I want to show something else interesting, unless we're just down to chat and hang for the last little bit. Have a picture of a pie up on the screen. Like I already said quite a few times, make sure you're subscribed and you're here next Friday as well. Gonna have Taylor Drayson on and do custom block stuff. It's gonna be pretty dope. I'm stoked about that. We've covered a lot today. Like I was gonna say, I didn't really have like a specific agenda, and there's a lot of stuff that just came about naturally. Lots of really cool stuff. Breakdance. Yeah. That's about all I have to say. I think there's a meme that's like, that's a no from me, dog. No. I think me and Breakdance got off on the wrong foot. Plus, I'm fully invested in Generate Press and Generate Blocks, and it's just so good. Like I said, at some point in the near future, I'm going to do some kind of live stream where I build like kind of a dynamic site, because, you know, lots of people have said, oh, I thought you can't build custom site or, you know, dynamic sites and anything complex with it, which is just simply not true. I think people have that resistance to it because the Gutenberg is so, you know, just basic, but by itself, Gutenberg is not viable. I'll give you that. Jonathan, how is Generate Blocks used in theme work to sell in theme for us? Is it possible? I would imagine so. I mean, you can use like the, you know, WordPress export tool. And I mean, the other thing is, if you're not familiar with the copy and paste feature in Gutenberg, you can cross-site copy and paste super easily. So like you could literally just copy this and then what page is this on? That's on a demo page. So then I could just like go to this and then I can just pop this grid right in there like that. So the cross-site copy and paste works extremely well. And that's something I use a lot between my own sites. And with this, I presume that you could do that. Or, you know, I mean, you could also just go to the code editor tab and you can just copy out all the code like that. The unique IDs won't change, but that's not always a bad thing. It can cause you some styling complications. Laura, how did you get started? Actually, funny. That's a good question. I worked for a company that was actually like, well, I went to school for like computer science and engineering. And then out of school, I got hired by like a local IT company and worked for them. I was doing like Mac and computer support. And when I was 19, I left them and I was like, I'm going to do this better. I'm going to work for them, work for myself. And really quickly, I found out it was a hell of a lot harder than it looked to, get clients and get them to pay you money. But I got turned down by so many people for IT work, but they all said, do you do websites? And I was like, well, I built websites in school and, did things on my own. So I had very little experience, very little WordPress experience. So I said, yeah, I just started taking on clients. And so from 2014, I really started building up, and I struggled a lot because I was using Visual Composer and, tools like that. But in 2016 is when I found Oxygen, and that like changed everything for me. So from 2016 until basically last year, 2022, I used the Oxygen Builder pretty much exclusively. So that's a lightning quick summary, but that's the general overview. Awesome. I'm glad to hear you're going to check out GeneratePress. I really like it. Super fast. There's lots of flexibility. The GeneratePress Elements feature, which of course I cover in depth in my course, is just so powerful. It's essentially the templating system, but you can combine display conditions and hooks and all kinds of really cool stuff. Any tools for integrating other APIs? I found a couple plugins that claim to make it easier, but it's above my skill set currently. If you look at the video that I did, it's actually like on automation. I think the video title's like automating my workflow or something like that. I used Zapier to hook in with the webhooks for Cloudways, and that automatically like creates staging sites whenever new clients sign up. That's something that it was difficult to work out, but with the APIs and webhooks and using those Zapier tools, it was honestly not that difficult. Once I kind of trudged through it a little bit and did it a couple times, I was able to really like wrap my head around it. And webhooks, I think, are extremely cool. I think they're really, really cool. So maybe that'll help. Looking at that Zapier webhook integration. Elijah, have you used Cloudways Safe Update feature yet? I haven't actually. I have not. It's definitely something that seems valuable, but I haven't used it. Have you? I assume it works well because they haven't redacted it yet and it's been out a couple months. New Yorkin says, Jonathan, how's the monthly subscription model working out for you? I am taking that really slowly. I have like, I think we're at like 6 or 7 of those now. But for me, really, I want to focus on some of these other products. I really want to push more to get my Generate course really, just thriving. I want to get my new course that I want to do, that CSS course. I really want to focus on that this year and just make that thing extremely badass. And part of that means scaling back client work. So really, I'm kind of making an intentional effort to scale that back and just be much more particular about the things that I take on in terms of client work. And maybe at some point later this year, just kind of like maybe scale it out entirely. We'll see. Not firing existing clients, but potentially not taking on anything new. We'll see how that goes. I plan to test. I still do monthly updates for around 7 sites, and it's annoying. They have visual regression testing apparently. Oh, that's cool. I did not know that. I've seen people ask about that, just in different groups and stuff. Very, very cool. Not something that I necessarily need, but I feel like for larger sites where you don't really know who or potentially what is changing something, that could be very, very helpful. Go for it, man. Love your approach. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Really how it came about is I did like a sort of like a deep revenue analysis for my business earlier this year at the very beginning of the year. And it was just like, when I really looked at the numbers, it was just so plain. It was so plainly evident to see like the 80-20 rule, like where am I spending most of my time versus most of my income? And I really have my focus flipped. I need to be focusing on YouTube and courses and that kind of thing rather than the client work. And there's some degree where they kind of cross over, but not to the degree that if I spent all my time, or not all of it, but most of my time on courses and stuff like that, it would be far more beneficial. 28 likes, 46 viewers. Every single one of you guys that have hung out, guys and gals that have hung out this long, I sincerely appreciate it. Gonna wrap up here in just a few more minutes. So I think we got time for like maybe 2 or 3 more questions. If you guys have anything else you want to ask, please go ahead and drop it in the chat. Drop a like and a sub before you leave, please, and thank you. And also, just again, to quickly recap before those final questions come in, make sure you check out Pi Calendar, mine and Elijah's new calendar plugin. And then also on premislug.com, oh, not the login. On the Premislug site, Generate Made Easy has new content that's come out, 12 new videos. There's about 15 more to come as well. And then the CSS Made Easy course. If you're interested, you can sign up for that, be an early adopter, and whenever it's ready to have that pre-sale, I will definitely let you know. Other than that, last question, WPML or not WPML? So for me, translate plugins, there's only one that I really would consider to be like a viable option, and that's Translate Press. I love Translate Press. It's flippin' amazing. It's just so easy to use. It works so brilliantly. I used it on an Oxygen site where the client had like 6 different languages. It was on a pretty big site. That worked really well. They have full-time translators, and they were able to get in there and translate the strings, and it just works so good. And then I used it on a Generate Press site for a French and Canadian, I mean, a French Canadian and, US English site, and it worked amazing. Google Translate Pro version for big sites. Oh, I didn't even know that existed. The Translate Press Pro lets you do multiple languages, and they have like a deep L, I think it's called, language model that kind of translates it. Polylang was definitely one that I had used for a while too, Luke. Not for a while, that's actually not true. I used it once because of an Oxygen site, and at that time early on, somebody had created like a function, like a code snippet that would allow you to, the OG Translate plugin, that's what it's called. Okay, not Google Translate Pro, got it. There was a plugin that made Polylang work with Oxygen really well, and I had used it for some time, and I thought it was really cool, but then I found Translate Press because of this particular thing where they wanted to manually translate stuff, and Translate Press was just so awesome. They were at WordCamp Europe when I was there last year, and I didn't realize how big their team was. Pretty big. It's cool. Also, I was curious. I know we have a lot of people from the US and Europe. Are you looking to go to WordCamp this year, either WordCamp Europe or WordCamp US? I'm curious because I had a fantastic time at WordCamp Europe last year. I got to give them credit. I didn't know that I would actually enjoy it as much as I did, and it was really, really enjoyable. Just lots of good value, lots of great talks. The people there, the networking was like what I was most excited about. But ultimately, the talks were really good, and I had a great, great time. Plus, Porto was just stupidly beautiful. WCUS is tempting. Yeah, actually, I guess, Luke, that would be easier for you, right? To be able to get back to the US than it would be to get to Greece. Well, I don't know. Actually, I'd have to look at the let's see, what's the, to go west and east? Yeah, I don't know. Where can I see this event of WordCamp? I think it's just WordCamp EU. WordCamp EU 2023. The website's kind of long, but WordCamp Europe 2023, it's in Athens this year. Last year it was in Porto, and it was, like I said, it was amazing. The tickets are really affordable too, but they do sell out. So make sure that if you're going to go, you can buy it. And then if you don't end up going, you can sell them, I do believe. But I really enjoyed it. And I think the one in Athens is probably going to be pretty awesome. It's definitely worth going. There's just such a diversity of speakers and so many different people of different backgrounds and different technical skill sets, and there's so much to learn and take away from these things. Plus, you just meet some really cool people. If you're just willing to sit down at a random lunch table with people and get to talk to them, you just never know who you're going to stumble upon. I think for me, in the US, I believe it's in Baltimore this year. WordCamp US 2023. Pretty sure it's Baltimore. Oh, National Harbor, Maryland. Is that technically Baltimore? It's in August. Yeah, I think for me this year, because I'm going to Europe in April, late April. I think the WordCamp US is probably going to be more likely for me this year. But you know what I thought about? I actually, Kyle's going to laugh at this. Using the tab map to figure out where all the members were, I considered possibly doing like a Permaslug meetup somewhere, just like a small little meetup in Europe in April, which would maybe be in London or Amsterdam. I'm not quite sure yet, but I had considered that maybe if that's something that there's enough interest for, even if it was just a small lunch or something, just to meet up and hang out a little bit. I was considering doing something like organizing something just small one day, London or Amsterdam, like I said. Maybe I'll post about that at some point. You got to save some pennies and come visit me in Tokyo. That is absolutely on the radar, dude. I told you before I had a ticket to Japan, kind of made a bet that I could go before, it was going to open. And then of course it never did until like a year after I had my ticket. But that's definitely on my radar. It's a shame that I had the ticket to Japan and couldn't go because of COVID. But I'm trying to think. Well, we were friends then. I was wondering if we had connected by that point, but yeah, we absolutely had. Any other questions? I need to go here in just a couple minutes. But damn, we have held this stream. This has been amazing. I want to thank every single one of you for hanging out so long. This is awesome. I'm just thrilled and super stoked to keep doing this on the regular. In fact, what I was thinking about when I'm doing this traveling in Europe and stuff, I'm going to be trying my best to host these Friday streams. Maybe they'll be shorter, if I'm traveling, but I kind of thought that doing them on the road out and about somewhere would be really cool. This was an absolute pleasure indeed. It's very cool. I want to say thank you again to everybody. Doesn't seem like we have any more questions, but feel free to hop into my Facebook group. You can go to facebook.com. I think it's /permaslugpros. Yeah. Well, it's facebook.com/group/permaslugpros. Feel free to join in there. Thank you to all of you for your great questions, for hanging out this whole time. It's been such a joy, and I'm really looking forward to doing this more regularly. So with that, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much. See you next time. Same bad time, same bad place. Peace.